the net area that was for simple straight plates. But if we have structural shapes like angle section or T section, channel section, for example channel section, so in that case we need to calculate the gauge length. And if in case of structural shapes the holes are not staggered, there may be 2 or 3 cases. The first case is the holes are present only in one leg. Then the procedure to calculate the net area will remain same as previous. And the second case is the holes are present in the both legs, but they are not staggered, they are in line. So in that case again the procedure will be similar to the previous one. But if the holes are present on both the legs but they are staggered, the holes of this one and this one are staggered, so in that case we need to consider the gauge length between this hole and this hole. So this gauge length will be considered along the center line of the member. So let's see what it says. When holes are staggered on 2 legs, so condition is holes are staggered and on 2 legs of an angle, the gauge length for use in S square over 4g expression is obtained by using length between centers of the hole measured along the center line of the angle. So we will measure the length from center of these 2 holes and it will be measured along the center line of the angle. So if we measure the length from here to here, if we are given that the length from the center of hole up to this, which is gauge length, so if this is known GA, similarly this distance from this center or center of this hole up to this edge or this corner is gauge length, which is GB. So the distance from here up to here will be GB minus this much, half of the width of or thickness of this leg. So GB minus T by 2 will be the distance from here up to here, from the center of this hole up to this center line. Similarly in this direction, distance from center line of the hole up to this center line, this will be equal to GA minus T by 2, this one. So the total length will become GA minus T by 2 plus GB minus T by 2. So the distance or the length of this center line from the center of this hole up to the center of next hole. So if we add these 2 values, so it will give us GA plus GB, mean gauge length for this hole and gauge length for this hole, minus thickness of the leg. So thickness of this leg and this leg. In case of angle section we have the same thickness for both the legs, so we will subtract T out of this value, GA plus GB. Okay, so to calculate the net area, what we do, we actually translate this or rotate this section to make a straight plate. So we cut it over here and then rotate, so it will become a member like this. So this one leg and this one leg will be rotated over here, and the distance between this bolt and up to the center here, this will be equal to GA plus GB minus T. So distance from this center or center of this hole, which is rotated after rotating in this direction, so distance here up to this center will be GA plus GB minus T. So this will be more clear when we will solve one example. So in AISC manual, some standard value for the gauge length are given. For example, for angle section, if we have only one bolt in the leg, in that case it will be denoted by G, and for different length of the legs or the leg dimensions, we have different values for G. For example, if the length of leg is 102 millimeter, then the gauge length for this bolt will be 64. And if we have more than one bolt, so then the first distance from this corner or from this edge up to the center of this first bolt will be G1, first gauge length, and then the distance between the next 2 bolt, between the center of the next 2 bolt will be G2. So G1 will be if the, for example, length of leg is 152 millimeter. If this length is 152 millimeter, then the first hole will be at a distance 64 millimeter, and the next hole, this hole will be at a distance 76 millimeter from the center of the first hole. So these are the standard gauge lengths which are given in the AISC manual. Similarly, for channel section, the gauge length for flange as well as for web is given.